I'm excited. And seeing Slacks and Illis there is very, very interesting, especially because they are East players. So playing in West regions is a little bit interesting from them. Maybe not able to make it in those East qualifiers. Want to make it in the West ones. We'll have to wait and see. Do, however, got your games ready, like you talked about. Looking at Stark Industries, we only actually have 2 teams landing there. 2 teams landing Doom's Domain as well. Very interesting spread of the map so far. We'll see who comes out on top. We do see those llamas around the map as well. 3 of them spotted. I believe already one of them getting picked up. I mean, hey, an early llama. Can't hate it.
You can hate it indeed. And this is that Heat 1, Game 1. Remember, we are going to have 3 different heats here in 6 different games. So we're going to dive in to Heat 1, Game 1 here first. And we're going to watch how these guys drop. And then we're going to dive into the mid and end game for this heat. But then you're quickly going to see that we're also going to cover Heat 2 and Heat 3. We want to make sure we provide all the coverage for you here, just like Spade is attempting to cover himself, but it's not going to be enough. He is going to go down there. But you see Leon, his teammate, also taking a major pump, and he does go down here. Unfortunate early start, but listen, Stark Industry is one of those drops that you do not want to contest unless you're extremely confident in your drop, or else you will result and go back to the lobby just like they did.
That is 100% true. You got to be careful with where you're landing. Got to make sure you're securing those epic chests that drop, those star chests. There's 3 of them there. If you're able to secure 2 of them, maybe even just able to grab one of them, you get that legendary epic pump. You can come out swinging. Now over to the other mythic POI on the map. We've got Doom's Domain. Domgrel, obviously throwing some love over there to Mongrel. Has his teammate with him, Libra, on top, but unfortunately they are not on top of this fight as they are losing a lot of HP. Getting tagged up all the way back. No build remaining. He's going to have to use that LMG. His shots go through. Libra will get the knock there into Frazen. Will they get the elimination on the boss? And they do. The edit was unfortunate there. And they were not on top of that fight, but they turned it around really quickly. They got the flow back in their state. Now they're looking good.
Absolutely. And you saw it there. Domgrel and Libra not having the advantage in the beginning of that fight, quickly turning it into their advantage. They backed up, only took shots that were comfortable for them, and ended up being able to secure the vault as well as those 2 eliminations. That is huge. Remember, balancing eliminations on top of placement in a scoring system like this is so important. You need to make sure that you are covering both angles. You really don't want to be stuck otherwise. Now we switch over. You see Mongrel, Diaglor, hanging out here down low, not necessarily the best position for them to be in. You see Kryn and Beto up on the high ground right next to the steamy stacks. Now, anytime they hit those stacks, they can fly directly onto this team, or they can choose to disengage. That is the wonders of steamy stacks, Clay.
It is, and I don't think they're gonna go for the disengage. I think they're gonna continue just to try to get any sort of engagement here. Diaglor not in a good spot. 43 builds. They do have a good amount of loot there in the AR ammo in terms of overall ammo as well, but in a bad spot. So it's going to come in here in a minute 14. It doesn't really seem like they're going to be able to put anything back on this team. And I like that he's trying to use this revolver here. There's a good amount of chunk damage off, but if you don't hit the headshot, it's not going to do that much. And Kryn is not over peeking. He's not gargling. He's just sitting there waiting for Diaglor and this phase Mongrel to make a mistake. That's what's good for this Mongrel, right? Is that he is trying to bait them out. You see Kryn did take a lot of damage there. The revolver shot did come in there from Diaglor. He's just trying to keep those pressure off, keep distracting with his teammate, and keep putting the pressure down.
Yeah, I mean, impressive stuff. You see the patience being exhibited here from Kryn and Beto. This is not something you see always, especially not on West. West is really known for being that aggressive server, but here they are applying a lot of patience. They haven't really gotten these significant tags I think they want to get. So they're making sure that they are super careful with any type of engagement here. So they're going to go ahead, heal up, make sure they're in a good spot. They are not in zone though. So at some point they need to decide, is it worth it to continue engaging on this fight, or does it make more sense for them to get away from here?
As we swap over, we'll see a fight already underway here in Salty Springs. We've got Demon down here with Seth. Unfortunately, they do not have the HP advantage. 13 HP here on Demonic. Dave and Zoom up above have definitely got the HP advantage, even over his teammate Seth. He's around 80, 90 effective HP there. No shield for them. They're just trying to hold their pumps out. They're trying to catch this team off guard. They're trying to slow play it because any opportunity they can to catch a mistake and capitalize on it, put them in a really good spot. They do get the pressure put onto them. Seth is going to try to make a play, but unfortunately can't hit the shot or doesn't even try to go for it, it seems like. Dave is standing just far enough away. He doesn't have to worry about this damage coming in. Now they've got to try to replace. They only have 4 builds remaining here on Demonics. That takes a lot of damage. Just put some shots back, but is he going to get any tags back that are meaningful? And unfortunately not. The spray going to come through. Demonic is running out of builds. He's going to have to make a play. They have to go on the offensive here. They can't just sit here. Zoomer has to be their target. They got to realize, hey, this player's cracked. We've got to go from Demonic. No builds remaining. Unfortunately, going away from his teammates there. They're not fighting this fight together. They got to fight together, especially when you're low match, when you don't have an option. If you're standing on top of a player, a 2v1 is much more powerful. So you see Zoomer in here. They should have just kept going.
Yeah, absolutely. You do see that they have the obvious advantages, whether it be the health advantage. They also have the better loot, it even appears. But when you get weak like that, it really can change a fight. They don't know what pump shotgun is in their inventory. They need to make sure that they're taking this fight super smart while only engaging when they know that they have a true advantage. You do see them switching up buildings. They've decided to completely disengage, which is extremely surprising and honestly beneficial for Demonic and Seth, who really did not have much going for them in that engagement. So you see them rotating out. They are in zone, so they don't need to do too much other than really find some heals and loot up quickly and get those material, because you know material is going to be so important going into the mid and end game here.
Yeah, this is so shambles for them. I don't really think they're going to have the opportunity to get out as we move over to Batman Puga, who's got some piece control here. Nice 40 tag. Will he get the knock? I don't think it comes. His teammate actually going to get knocked and churned. Put a lot of damage off onto that player, but now the teammate got a little bit too aggressive, got a little bit too far in. We'll have to go for the revive there. Cabo is going to take down Mangoes in the meantime. Not sure who that was. A third, fourth, and or fifth party coming in. And it comes through the peanut butter peak. Piece control not there for Batman Booga, but the one pump is there. The 176. Kaboo says good night.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to say this now. Have you seen Batman and Booga in the same room? Well, guess what? You can say that you have now. Here is Batman Booga able to clean that engagement up quickly. And actually in his advantage, he did start to lose the fight there a bit, but fortunate for him, he was able to take that home. You see 4 Penguin, you see Senny here fighting against this duo. Not necessarily the quickest engagement, but they are starting to build up. It's starting to get a little heated. Penguin does have a great loadout to take this in the early game, which is surprising. You're not always walking away with something as good as this loadout, as we saw with one of the previous teams. Gray pump, you see green AR, but here Penguin's got that purple spaz. Will he make something happen here? He's going to go ahead and build out, look for the right shot. He doesn't find anything yet, but he is going to stay close to his teammate. That is the smart play to make here, although the storm is closing in. They're not too far away from zone, but the less time they spend in the storm, the better. You really don't want to be in this position where you're taking a lot of storm damage before you take a big engagement.
Yeah, and the reason they have such good loot is because they were fishing, and everybody knows now fishing is so strong, especially with the ability to pull purple and epic and legendary pumps, rather, because they took that charge shotgun out, and because combats don't spawn in the fishing holes. If you pull a shotgun, it is going to be a legendary or an epic one. So if you prioritize that, if you put yourself in a good spot, you will get those shotguns. That's why they have it right now. And you see them playing zone. It doesn't matter. It does not matter if they're sitting here ticking. They're losing their HP because Penguin's got shields. He's got floppers. He takes a big hit, but look, effectively, he's right back up to where he started. Does only have 1 mini, so he has to get together now. Now there's some onus to get into zone. Now there's some pressure because before they were just sitting, they were just chilling. They get in a car, they should be able to drive right in.
Yeah, and vehicles in this game really provide that additional layer of shield for you. And this is the perfect play for them to get out of this engagement. As you can see, Carp, Sonya not able to really do much as far as them rotating away. So they're going to have to just let it fly. Now, they're not in zone. So it raises the question, are they going to rotate in here soon? You see Senny, you see Penguin. They're smart enough. They're rotating in. They're not necessarily going to be on the slow side of the zone, but they want to get themselves in a position where they're not stuck against these other 2 teams. And Sonya looking for any kind of shots and beginning to disengage. Super important at this point in the game. You You really don't want to get into any kind of major engagements so far because you need to save all of your material going into that late game.
And you saw only 20 builds there for him at Hansonia. So he's really got to make a play to get out of this area, get out of these engagements, and farm up because 20 match is not going to be enough. We move back over to Penguin. 30 match, not going to be enough. They do find the med kit here amongst this old builds, all this old loot. I think that blue arrowed team there as they're running up into this fight, I think that was their fight. This is Demon Goal. And we've got Zing here. Again, you see, loadout looks really good. That's because they finished their fight really quickly. They didn't have to worry about third, fourth parties coming in. They got him, they got the eliminations, and now they're getting out. And you know what? Might as well make a little pit stop, fill up your vehicle a little bit, get that extra little bit of gas in there so you can take it all the way into zone.
Yeah, you see all these teams, they're hitting these vehicles. They're starting to rotate in. Really the best play for them as far as this goes, especially being so far away from zone. You still see Vicky, Remzi here in Sweaty Sands as the zone is closing in. Not much time left for them, only a minute and 30 for them to get in the zone. But they said, you know what? We really need to make sure that we're in a good spot as far as materials, loot go before we get into this zone. You see them rotating. You see them communicating as well. You know this is super important in a duo style tournament is communication. You need to make sure that you're communicating with your duo, that both you and your duo have a solid plan going into this, because this is the semifinals. This is not the qualifiers. This is the best of the best from day one, now competing again for the opportunity to go on. And remember, only the top 3 teams extend to the next day.
Insanely tough, insanely hard. We'll see how if Diaglo and oh wow, I was gonna say the FaZe Mongrel that's here is gonna be able to, but he looks like he gets sniped by its G9. Fortunately, a little bit too much, and oh, they're going in. They don't want to allow the opportunity here for the revive. They're gonna hear this zip line come through. Even if they don't, this will be good for them. They can get the elimination and just secure it. He will be able to stick the elim. Now, piece control isn't there. No, they do have the purple pump out. Shots will come through, and that's really good that they get that big damage there onto that player. As the FaZe Mongol trying to rotate out, but that fake FaZe Mongol is not going to be able to do so. YouTube Max, what the heck? Is going to be able to get that nice beam onto Diaglors. They're going to run away. Their teammate FaZe Mongrel left them for unfortunate doom, and honestly, I would have thought it was the other way around. Diaglor had more HP. The FaZe Mongrel didn't. He was able to get out. I don't think they're going to let him get away, though.
Absolutely not. You know you have this FaZe Mongrel super weak. You know when you're JG9, you've put in the damage, you put in the work, you have the splashes. You know that you have so much potential to take any kind of storm fight, which I think is why they engaged in this in the first place. They got the snipe. They know that an elimination gets them 2 points. And they went to secure one elimination and ended up securing the other elimination, which is not the one they were anticipating, but still an elimination nonetheless. You see them looking for the shots on this FaZe Mongrel. Probably not successful, though. You don't see FaZe Mongrel popping up in the kill feed. But we switch over to Carp. Carp, Sonya in a quick little box fight here. Nice little 49 pump, and the engagement continues. Will it be enough? All those little tags are super important. The more of those that you get, the better advantage you have in an engagement like this.
And unfortunately, they're splitting up a little bit because the third party is coming in. They want to get some shots there. But Hansonia is getting pushed. Garb has to work his way down. Essentially works for them. But unfortunately, though, Hansonia is going to go down. Nice trade engagement there by Carp. Will he be able to get the nice shot? He does. 98 tag comes through. Will he be able to follow up? No, not going to be able to do so. The wall will be taken back in the enemy's favor. Rimsey going to try to get any sort of comms going there for Vici. The res will not come through. Carp trying to put the pressure down, trying to get the mini off, but Vici not going to allow him to do that. The pressure that he's applied will stop for now, but Carp is actually just going to let the revive come through. He's actually not even going to try to go for the revive himself. He's going to drop him down. Will he be able to get the finish? No. Has to. He's got to get it because there's a 2-tick right now. If he's able to get it, nice elimination there to Rimsey. Follow up 84 damage. He's got the HP advantage. No matter what he does, no, but a flopper going to be popped. So now he's got to push through. Will the shot connect? He does only have a great pump. 6, 5, 4, 2, 1 HP remaining. The seconds counted down, and it just was not in his favor.
Well, and you really have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth continuing on with this engagement for as long as they did? Because you see, it really didn't benefit them in the long run. Switching over to blue, to Sempress Kirky. You see them, they're communicating, they're gathering information. They're not necessarily in the best spot in zone. You see how many players are stacked up in the same place. This is not good for them. There are different layers to the hill that this is on, but really not where you want to be. You do not want to have a bunch of people around you, because the first thing, or the last thing you want rather, is to get focused by some of these other teams. You see them looking around. Remember, placement is super important. You're not taking unnecessary engagements, especially not in a mid game like this. It is just not worth it. As we switch over, JG9, we saw him eliminate the phase mongrel here in the west region. Now gathering some more material, making sure they have a lot of ownership here on the top of ruins. This is a really nice spot to be in. You're not spending a bunch of additional mats. You have the high ground. You can take shots on people as needed. Now, there's only 47 people left in this game, but there's still so much that can happen. Looking at JG9, there's a lot of potential for them to walk away with a victory royale and several kills. They already have 3 eliminations in this game so far, and we haven't even made it into the first moving zone. So much potential here, Clay, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's about to happen.
We haven't even gotten in the first placement threshold as well. That's going to come at top 25. So 26 duos remain in the competition. I like that Ayo, Chris, and his duo were able to rotate out early ahead of time, because there's still so much uncertainty where this half in, half out's going to go. So to get as center as you can, you have all the possibilities there. Everybody is rotating through as well. Flicks, Patch is rotating through there. Ral and Snatch maintaining the high ground here on this mountain, hoping that they're gambling right, hoping that the zone actually pulls to them, but they got to be careful. I don't like that they're sitting in cones on high ground. They have the opportunity to be looking for snipes, looking for AR tags, but they're not doing it. They're just sitting in their cones. They're just waiting. We see Ego's Dave, unfortunately, going to fall there. Elsgrove trying to get any sort of engagement up above, has to try to break these down, but there's too much pressure coming from above. Has to yell at his teammate, hey, stop that, it's not ours. We can't get this. We can't own it. So now we're going to wait 1 minute. They could continue to try to get aggressive, but the team above is putting that pressure back just in the right amount of time, just in the right amount of areas. They don't really need to go for this. They realize that now. And the other team above, they don't want to give that up. They give up that stair, they give up that cone. Easier to chop them down, easier to drop them down. Now with 45 seconds coming in, you see where everybody is. The only team at the ruins is JD's team, and I think a solo there. So if it goes that way, they're going to have a really, really good opportunity to get a nice amount of elimination.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And like we said before, the stack is real. When you need to rotate, now you hear all of the shots taking place from every different angle. So Velsgraw, Inferno looking for the opportunity to rotate. They're not seeing a clear path into a better place in zone. They're going to have to hope that the zone ends up pulling, or this fifth zone ends up pulling in their favor right on the edge. This is not necessarily where you want to be. You kind of want to be a little bit more central just in case it pulls in one direction. But honestly, you're taking a big risk here staying here this far in the zone. As you can see, it did not pay off for them.
No, it didn't even pay off for the Ruins team either. So fortunately, this is what half in, half out does to a lot of people. But this is really good for Max and JG9 because this is a dead side rotation. No one really going to be looking here. There's so many other players coming from that mound that they see right there. And that's where their focus is going to be. They guessed halfway right. Now they get to get into half and half out relatively uncontested. This team up above, Blue, F9 and company will contest them a little bit, but it should be an easy build in. They'll be able to take high ground right over the top of them, secure it, and hopefully pull moving.
Yeah, I got to ask here, Clay, do you think it's smart to hold a high ground with this many material this early in the moving zones? It almost to me feels like it's not the play. It's a little too early. And now they do have some advantages here in being able to take the shots, but I just feel like it's not necessarily the play. What do you think, Clay?
My general rule, if shockwaves are in the game, you don't want to have high ground until 6 or 7 zones. Now, that being said, if Storm Surge is not going to be a factor in the game, then it's a little bit different. You could take it in 5th, you could take it in 6th zone. It depends. But my general rule of thumb, if it is a back lobby, if shockwaves are in the meta or if they're in the game, you want to play mid ground until that 6-7 zone, then you take it, easy win from there.
Yeah, which makes total sense. I mean, we were watching NA East yesterday, and these lobbies at this point were taking a lot of storm surge damage. They weren't able to do much with the resources that they had because they weren't taking the tags necessary. They were focusing a little bit too much on the placement and not enough on getting the damage. But you see here, only 37 people left, and that means that storm surge is not going to be a big factor here in this game. You look at Max, you look at JG9 maintaining that height, getting those tags, but not being able to secure a single elimination from the high ground. So again, raises the question, do the use of materials so far to get to the height, were they worth it? In my opinion, just not. You see them looking down. Any kind of engagement that they can take, they're going to, and it looks like they're going to attempt to maintain as much high ground as possible as these other teams begin to rotate in. But that is a huge risk. Like Clay said, when you have shockwaves, you have crash pads in the game, it is super easy to end up taking height. So really not the best play to make. And you need to be careful when you have those shockwaves in your inventory, because if you do one wrong move with those shockwaves and you're going straight into storm.
Indeed, but I think with these lobbies that are not automatically invited, or if they're coming through open qualifiers, not everyone has the same type of experience, and not everyone has the same amount of experience in these lobbies. So you get players that aren't comfortable looking up to high ground, that aren't comfortable shooting or shockwaving to high ground and playing high ground. So you can get high ground relatively free. Storm surge won't be that big of a factor. It has turned on, but it hasn't activated yet. Once we close this zone, it will start to activate. 2 players need to go down, so we'll probably see that as we do see Raw fall. Avina is going to fall there as well. Inferno going down, and now hit 30. It's turned off. It's not going to activate. The storm is no longer mad at anybody there. Dutra, however, PR maybe playing for Brazil. Not too sure there. Bird, his teammate, only 1 elimination, a little bit separated here, but they're playing the low ground. Low ground in this season has been one of the safer plays to make, just because no one is shockwaving to low ground. No one's fast padding to low ground. No one's impulsing, bounce padding to low ground. No one's going down there unless they have to. Everyone's looking up. Everyone's going to high ground. So while low ground has its natural chaos, natural tendencies of being insane, high ground, definitely where the chaos is this season. Is they're going to find a player in the box to trap, to not come down, but they did get the piece control there. Dutra, though, unfortunately going to fall. And I think he was the one that actually ended up getting that elimination, so his teammate not going to be able to get the HP from it. The siphon is not there for him. He will be able to grab an epic pump. A nice shot will be traded, but will it be enough? 19 HP. His own is coming in. He has to leave his teammate. Unfortunately, he has to try to get in. 56 kills. He's got enough to make it happen. Tries to turn his back on the fire, but you can't do that. If you're getting fired upon, you cannot turn your back to it. If you do, you are just going to go down, especially if some of these are East players playing on that West Coast ping. Even East players with 60 ping, you're just going to go down. Nice build here from Shiesta, though. A 180 tag through the build. He will actually get the elimination there on the Kren. He does have the pepper pop, so he can get in his zone very smoothly, but only 1 build remaining. He's got to hop into some of these boxes. He's got to get in. The pump wasn't reloaded, so he has to go with the AR spray. He will not get that elimination. No, he does get the knock, but he doesn't get the E-limit time. Unfortunate there. Blue F9 trying to get these E-limits. He'll get Guy Goose. Maybe more of a Duck fan there, but a lot of builds remaining. That is really good to see. Unlike Chris right now, who has to drop to the low ground, it's actually going to be Blue who gets a nice pump tag there in a really good spot as a solo. A lot of builds on the low ground. He can build up to height. Chaos down here on the low ground as Ryan's backpack, and of course Ryan there. Doesn't seem like Ryan's backpack is actually in the backpack this time around as he's making some nice plays. Elimination going to come through there, tied up. Who's carrying who? Who's carrying backpack? Who's carrying Ryan? I don't even know at this point. Is it Dora the Explorer or not? Elimination's not coming through. Matt's being split. They have enough ammo. The harpoon coming through. Nice shot there by JG9 and Max. And the knock will come through. We saw them all the way at start. Get those eliminations there. And they turn it into a victory royale. 7 eliminations. A lot of points coming their way.
Yeah, and like we said before, we were looking at JG9, we were looking at Max. We said there's so much potential for them. They had those early eliminations, and then going into that end game to really make something happen. And it looks like they were able to not only get some more eliminations, but take the victory royale. Congratulations to JG9 and Max for taking Game 1, Heat 1. So I think it's about time we switch over to Game 1, Heat 2. Don't you think, Clay?
I think so as well. If we're ready to hop in there, we will. Of course, so all these games happening, we're going to try to bring as much coverage as we can. And, oh, we're already there. And we're actually only into second zone, so we still get to see a lot of this game.
That we do. You see Mateo on the left-hand side here looking around, trying to get any kind of tags that they can get. 73 players remaining in this heat. That is massive, a very, very big difference from the first heat. You see Storm Surge is already in effect, but fortunately for Mateo and Salty Fishy, they're already above that damage threshold. They're not having to worry about too much, but now at this point, they're like, you know what? We got the sniper rifle in the inventory. Let's see if we can make something happen. You know, those eliminations, 2 points, that can make anything happen here. Anything can go. You get those extra eliminations on top of great placement, and you can make anything happen from this game, from the next game. You got 6 games here in total to really change it up, bring a lot of points to your team. So we'll see what Mateo and Salty Fishy are able to do.
Yeah, we saw Storm Surge actually activate there. So that's why you heard a lot of shots going off. That's why you saw a lot of players moving around, because again, we usually don't see Storm Surge in second zone and in these qualifiers that come through opens, because not a lot of people are focused on staying for live for those placements. They want to go for those eliminations, excuse me. But you know, it's very interesting to see Storm Surge second zone. We may see it half in, half out. Again, that threshold is 50, and of course moving threshold is 30. But as it starts to get smaller and smaller, we may see a lot more aggressiveness come out of all of these players in the lobby. Cupsy, the elimination, we saw Kytrex here, a staple name for the West region. Don't know if he's still playing on controller, but he might be. Again, was a keyboard player, swapped over to controller, then went over to the iPad when that was big, and now back on PC. So we'll keep our eyes there on the elimination feed for Kytrex. We saw a TRNL player here as well. So a lot of names here for West. How will they do? That will be the question.
Yeah, and it really raises the question with a player like that, so diverse. What are the priorities? And the priorities are, if you think about it, it's aim, number 1. Game sense, number 2. And people think mechanics is really up there, but it's not. So many players are so successful when they utilize game sense. They understand where they need to be, how to position themselves, and make sure that they have aim that'll secure eliminations, even when somebody as significant or as talented as some of these top West players are. So it really is important to make sure to remember that you practice not only your mechanics and creative, but you are upping your game sense as you continue here. You see this aerial view, though. You see Apez, you see Santa up on the high ground on the hill with a bit of advantage. Not too much going on for them, but they are looking to grab any tags while they can, just in case that Storm Surge alert comes back on the screen. The last thing you want to do is take unnecessary Storm Surge damage, especially in a tournament like this where placement, again, is super important. Now you see Glow hanging out here, Clay. Not too much going on. I'm not seeing a harpoon here. I was kind of looking forward to some more Clay Classic action. What do you think? You think we're going to see some more of that today?
See, it is a very interesting subject, because it offers so much versatility in just the weapon itself. You can grab all these mats with it late game for these refresh. You can break builds with it as well. Any fresh build is one shot. Any wooden wall is one shot as well. So you can hop into boxes if you need to. And of course, it does 75 damage to those players. There's no headshot multiplier for it. If there was, oh my God. I'm going to tell you that'd be a little bit too OP, but it is a very versatile weapon. So honestly, seeing it in tournaments is something that you would expect to see, just because, hey, it gets you these refreshes. Okay, we could drop it for a med kit, get all this math in the moving zones. Don't have to worry about going out there and being too exposed. But West, I haven't really seen a lot of harpoon plays out of West. I've seen it out of Europe a lot. I've seen it out of East a lot, but the West region, I don't know what their hesitation is to harpoon, but one day.
Yeah, clearly they need to be paying attention to that Clay Classic, because it is, like you said, it is so diverse. Having the harpoon in your inventory, it provides an additional layer of supply when it comes to the game. You see Mateo, Salty Fishy up on the high ground, still looking for those tags from like we saw them before. But Mateo, not necessarily in the best position here. A gray pump is not what you want to go into in this late game, but with the Scar or with the purple assault rifle, that is massive. There's so much potential there. As far as the fish go, you see him holding on to those 2 floppers, which could be huge, being able to use that in the late game. Now we switch over to Rec. We switch over to Trashy. You see them taking a quick engagement here. It's not necessarily the best engagement in their favor, but they're continuing to push because West is known for being so aggressive. They're going to continue this elimination, and there it goes. They're able to take out Cause in the kill feed. Impressive stuff. They made sure they took that fight and they took it quickly, and now it resulted in them getting a couple extra points from that elimination. Now it's time for them to rotate in, Clay.
And I think it was an elimination and a fight there out of necessity. Irek came into this fight with a combat shotgun, and no Fortnite player in competitive wants to have a combat shotgun, not since it got reintroduced, right? Before it was really good, and now since being reintroduced, it is just not where it used to be, not on par with that pump shotgun. So has to kind of go for that fight. If they get the elimination, they put themselves in a good spot. They get pumps, they get mats, they get shield refreshes, and so that's exactly what they did. Now, we do see Storm Surge active here. It hasn't activated just yet. It's just warning players, hey, I'm here. If this zone closes, I'm going to start activating. We do see Nate go down. Quinton is going to fall there to Jay, will not lose. And now, zone is going to start activating. So if you see anybody below Storm Surge, surprising that Soup is not able, and actually wasn't able to stay alive, but was above Storm Surge, now it's activated. There's the indicator, there's a sound. 3 players are going to get hit. Technically 4. Right, the way Storm Surge works is if anybody is below that threshold, you could be a whole duo, you could be a whole trio, you could be a whole squad. But if there's 3 squads that are all below, 3 duos that are all below, you're all going to be hit. So as you see, Apes and company, they are getting hit. They're only 4 damage below. But Blake and Blizz, they don't have to open this, but they want to. They want to be aggressive. There will be not enough damage there for Zenison, and they will end up falling. There will just be free elimination. That's the advantage of Storm Surge, of players pushing on Storm Surge. If you are fine on it, you just get free elims if they come into your box.
Yeah, just like we saw for them, and that's super important. But you know, Storm Surge, as soon as it's activated, 1 of 2 things should hit your mind. Number 1, if you are below that Storm Surge, you need to get those tags. Number 2, if you are above that Storm Surge, then you need to make sure you're watching out for the players psychoing into your box as they try to get some damage here. You see Boomer Chanix, you see Aim Rays looking to get out of this situation, because the last thing they want to do in this zone is begin to get focused. They are half on, half off of a hill. This is not the best zone for them going into this heat, but honestly, it shows a lot of potential from these teammates. Quick eliminations here. You look them looking for any kind of shots they can get. Arc immediately running away as the focus began on him, almost getting away successfully, but then runs into another player, putting him in a weak position. You see Boomer Chanix looking and not being able to secure that elimination, but still looking for any kind of opportunities that they can get. So important at this point. You know, there's other people rotating in. There's people that are not quite in yet, and this zone is moving. They need to make sure that they're not taking extra zone damage while they can. You see Lucas, 1 build in the inventory, hiding behind already pre-existing walls. What will he be able to do? How will he be able to get up? Fortunately, he does have those shockwaves in the inventory, so hopefully he can make something happen here, but we'll see here shortly.
This is a really good spot for them to be in if they're going to be in a spot. They are low on mats. They are in a very uncomfortable area. That zone is pulling towards them, so they can actually make this rotation relatively easy. They can just drop wave through. They can just rotate through. No one's really going to be looking at these old builds. They're actually going to find a knock there. That's going to be a different Elam that comes through. Trauma going to go down. Now over to Young Rez and Vertic. One elimination here. They are above Storm Surge, and we may see it activate here again. It's just warning players that it is on, but once it gets close onto that 7 zone and there's 30 people up, we will see it activate. This is a very interesting rotation. I normally don't like doing shockwaves right then when you're not at that max distance pull. They've already moved a little bit in, and so we're going to see why they take a little bit too much thorn damage. As Lucas, unfortunately, going to take a lot of damage there from Young Rez's pump. He tries to get the piece control there, but unfortunately going to fall down. Shockwaves at the factor there. We heard a harpoon going off in the meantime as well. Rez separated from Vertic. They have to work together. They have to work on getting back together, as Merc and me, unfortunately, going to go down. Clean, they're still up. Blux here as well. Lufer there as well. Rednet is as well. Unfortunately, Jay will take down Lig, and Lucas's teammate is going to get an elimination there, but unfortunately, Lucas isn't able to do much. But Young Rez away from his teammate. Storm Surge is active. Everybody is now going to have to play very, very chaotic.
Yeah, this is not going to be the zone they want to do. Look at where it's pulling, Clay. It is not a good position to be in. You see Rez with the 2 floppers in hand. Will it be enough? It does look like he's still struggling. He does get the elimination there, which provides that additional siphon, but I don't know if that'll still be enough for them to make it into Storm. Now, Now you switch over to Clean and CK looking to get through here, tarping as quickly as possible as Storm Surge hit a few players back there. Now we are out of the Storm Surge area. You look back and there goes Young Rez, as we were talking about before. He is down to Storm. Unfortunate, it does look like it's going to take him out, but that is why it is so important to make sure you have great positioning in zone. Like we talked about before, game sense is so important, especially going into the mid and late game. Now you see it. You see some players on height. You see Nigel flying out of Storm. Ooh, and a couple more shots there. Hyper does go down to some fall damage. Man, oh man, not the position they want to be in. But here we are. It looks like they're going to drop down to a lower area, but it's still maintaining height with Luca not too far below, though. And you see all the players on top of each other, while Wheels playing very, very smart, getting ahead of zone, understanding that, guess what? I don't have the best position in the mid and high ground, so I'm going to go ahead and separate myself a bit and get a good position here in the low ground.
And the high ground team being Kytrix and his duo, not surprised. I talked about how staple name for the West region. Definitely expect him to do well here as we move over to Epic Wavy, and we got Jay Will Not Lose. Eliminations are coming through there for them. They do end up picking up 5, but how many more they go? Shockwaves are going to come through. Will they be able to get the ultimate high? No, they were close high. They were second at that, but didn't realize how far up high ground actually was and went up. Lost a lot of match because of it. Luca here, definitely not Lucas, or Lucas is bad. A lot of different Lucas is in here. Lucas is bad. Unfortunately, going to go down. Lucas, is he going to be bad now? Oh no, Shockwave going to come through. It's going to throw Epic Wavy into zone, and unfortunately, we're going to watch him tick over there. Wheels now on your screen, may be able to get up this mountain, but he's got to get creative with his builds. No builds remaining. That's going to be him. More than likely going down. Arc will fall. Jay Will Not Lose. Does have enough builds to maintain this side of the mountain, but it's Kytrek and his duo up on the high ground. They more than likely will be able to close this one out as the zone is getting tighter and tighter. It's going more up that mountain. They just have to stay alive. They just have to keep blocking this player out. They cannot let him get up. If they do, it is just a win by default. They have the HP advantage. He is going up. Those shockwaves, the bouncers come through rather, but J.I. Will Not Lose. Does end up going down to Kytrex and Epic. Crazy.
Yeah, Epic and Kytrix, what an incredible performance there. They maintained the high ground. They made sure they applied continual pressure, which ended up resulting in the victory royale for them. Impressive stuff. Congratulations to you all. A massive victory royale, but we got to shout it out. We talked about how Wheels was getting that head start. It looked like he was doing really good with the low ground. He knew he didn't have the mid and high, but unfortunately ended up dying to Storm because he was too low and not there at the right time. So again, congratulations to Kytrex and Epic. Sizer, congratulations, great performance. You are on and you win game 1, heat number 2. But speaking of heats, I think it's about time we switch over to game 1, heat number 3 to see what's going on there.
I am just as ready as you are. Again, a lot of games going on all around the day. Moving into this one, we see about the same sort of scenario. 73 players alive, second zone. May have Storm Surge here as well. Not a lot of action happening all around the map. One player does fall as we hop in, but good amount of players still out. We may see that continue on into the night. Again, this is Heat 3, game number 1 there. This duo rather of Sign and Plora. A lot of good loot. I love that they have the harpoon. You know that I'm a fan of that, so see what they can do with it.
Yeah, and it's so important that they make sure to avoid any kind of mid-game fights here. They're already in zone. They do have great material. They want to avoid having to use any of that material. You see them go ahead. They're going to recycle this old building here. They're going to gather material, replace the build. Super important for them at this position here. You see, like you mentioned, great loadout. This is one of the better loadouts we've seen so far. Super impressive for them. Looking around, looking to take any kind of extra builds or extra resources here, which is super important. I cannot stress that enough. You look, they're taking over the building in its entirety because the last thing you want to do is leave even one piece away for somebody else to take.
You don't want that at all, but they're in a really good spot. This is kind of something we see a lot of the high level pros, you'd say elite pros do, is get second zone pretty center, because third zone is a little volatile. It will pretty much center up, sometimes go to the edge there in third. And then in fourth zone, if you're center of third zone, you will almost guarantee yourself fourth zone unless it pulls drastically to one of those angles. So they're setting themselves up well. That also lets them get a lot of Storm Surge tags if they have the opportunity if it does happen. If they need to, it sets them up in a really good spot. Now moving over to Nut and Sid. I believe this is the Nut that played with Twaxi. Really good players. Definitely more up and coming in the scene. I think everyone that follows competitive Fortnite will know who they are. But playing with Sid this time around, playing on West, we'll see how they do. No elimination so far. Loadout is about pretty average. They do have a good amount of mobility here as well. They've got these cars stored away so they can rotate with them. Not in a really bad spot. I don't expect them to not make it. I would say even top 3. I'm gonna make a bold prediction.
Oh, wow. That is a bold prediction indeed to make. Now, if you don't know, for everyone at home, there are people that are going to be going on as well. There are people that were invited to the competition. Speaking of some of those names, you have Arkrum, you have from NA West, you have Booga from NA East. These players have been invited and will already be a part of this weekend's festivities. So now these players in the semifinals are attempting to join those invited already. It is so important. You know that you're already playing up against some of the best players now, but you also want to remember that if you do make it on to this weekend, you are going up against the best of the best, questionably the best players in the world. I know that EU has some great players as well, but when you put together the likes of Arkrum, Falconer, Reet, you see all these major players being put into one lobby. That is going to make for a massive game.
It's going to be big indeed. We'll have to wait and see. Again, there's, I believe, 12 games being played in that invitational, and they're going to be swapping servers. So 6 games on East, 6 games on West. That'll be very interesting to see how it all shapes out. A little bit of an even ping matchup there. That definitely will shape up to be very interesting as we move over into Doom's Domain. This is where the beautiful last little bits of Fortnite happen. One of my favorite parts of Fortnite is those last couple zones. As you see, zone does pull a little bit to the side. Again, if you set up center zone in second zone, you're not always guaranteed to get that third zone, but you're in a good spot. You don't have to rotate far. Moving over to Meta and Flameback. 4 eliminations right now from Meta. We do know that Ryan and Ryan's backpack, right? That was their names. Well, Flame is in Meta's backpack right now with 4 eliminations. He does have that epic pump. That could be the reason. And look, they're going to find this rotation. They're going to pressure this team down. They are confident in their abilities, and those tags over the wall give them the go-ahead. That's going to be a crack tag there on them. No more shields remaining there, and that's going to be the aggressive push. Crimzo needs to get out. Toxic needs to get out, but the pressure going to come through. Teams in zone will see this as well. While this is good that they're putting this pressure down, they're putting this pressure on these players rotating. Eventually, it's going to come to the time where they are going to overtake this team, and that team is now going to put pressure on them, and everybody in zone is going to put pressure on this team. So the healthy team is now in a very bad spot because, yes, while they're putting pressure on the team they just did a lot of damage to, everyone is now looking at him as Toxic and Crimzo are going to go down. They are only going to be able to get 1 elimination, but now Meta in a bad spot in zone. Has to wait for his teammate. They are going to Shockwave Bouncer here or Crash Pad. No, it's going to be Shockwave to send them in. But again, they got to be careful. That is something they definitely could have avoided by getting those tags and just continuing on their rotation.
Yeah, and we talk about how aggressive NA West is, and this is just another example of that. Almost an unnecessary push right on the edge of zone there resulted not only in some storm damage, but a bit of focus from the lobby. If any other players located on that side of zone decided to focus them, it could have spelled doom for their game. Not only are they in Doom's domain, but they were almost in a very bad spot. You see them communicating, splitting materials. They're not in the best position now solely because they took that engagement. They spent a lot of mats, and it looks like they were not able to refresh as they were hoping they would be able to. Now gathering some intel, looking for the best way to rotate because they're not in zone either. And it looks like they're at the farthest point away from zone, Clay, which could really be a problem as they attempt to rotate in now.
Yeah, this spells a lot of trouble for a lot more than just them. As you see, everyone pretty much on this side, if you have a dead zone rotation, you're going to be thanking the Fortnite RNG gods just because right now there's so many players, so much unpredictably here on this zone. Is Flameback is going to take some damage. His teammate Meta now getting back. They are going to Shockwave Bouncer yet again, I believe. That's what's going to happen. They don't want to get edited on. So they've got 4 of them. Kind of a waste to use it this early, but because there's so many players, there's so many people getting in their way of rotation, I definitely agree with it. I think this is just a bad rotation for them in general from the prior one. They could have put themselves up in a really good spot. But now having to burn some mobility early is not the best spot.
Yeah, and you look, they're still surprisingly as aggressive as they are. They were below there for a second. Now 1,800 damage above that threshold. As you see, Storm Surge starting to take fold here with 56 people left in the lobby. 6 people need to go down for that Storm Surge to turn off. Will it be enough? They need to make sure they're getting these tags in. As we look at this aerial view, you see Tatron, you see Halcon. You see so many different players, all these great players, not just the bad West player, but multiple really talented players here, making sure they rotate in. And you notice it looks like they were all stacked on top of each other. A few free spots in zone, but everybody's just rotating in from that one side, which really raises the question. Should you have paid more attention to your position in zone earlier on in the game? Or were you just so focused on getting some tags, getting into those third parties? As you can see, the beams coming in from the distance. Sour Raindrop trying to heal up as much as he can. Clip and Sour both not in a great position. You do see the harpoon in hand, but a gray pump. That is not what they want to see in a game like this. They want to make sure that they have not only the materials to succeed, but also the heals and the loot. Your weapons make such a big impact in a game like this, especially when it comes to the shotgun. When you're carrying around an epic, a legendary pump shotgun, it really acts almost as if it's a person and a half, especially in a competition like this.
It does, especially because it's able to one try, right? We all know you hear that pull out and it just is, it's an indicator, hey, got to be a little bit more careful. And I like that this teammate is going in. I'm a fan of these kind of ambush plays or the high ground take, right? If you go up on high ground, you see someone is like kind of peeking a little bit. You sneak up, you can get in their boxes like that. We've seen Wolfies do it a lot in EU. That's one of my favorite things that he does is kind of sneak up in, get a nice pump shot, and boom, there you go. You've got your knock down, especially because they had the epic pump. Now moving through a couple different teams just to show you who's up in the lobby. We've got Rec and we've got Tutu, YNW. Loadout looks good. Now moving over to Amelito there and Emilio here, maybe from TNA. We saw TNA today, Miro in reverse, able to pick up that FNCS championship over on NA East. A lot of new TNA players, the new age doing very well. Flameback able to pick up a couple eliminations. Nut and Sid here as well. They're making moves, but don't really have the best loot to do so. Drew, however, in a very awkward spot. Sometimes when you get into that front of zone, everyone's going to focus you because you get there so late like they did. Really awkward spot to be in. They're able to get out. They are able to maybe get in zone with how it is. Okay, they will get in zone and they actually do pull it. This is not, I mean, it's good for them that they pull it, but sometimes as well, when you get front of zone and you pull the zone, players will start focusing you as well. So they have to be careful.
Absolutely, especially if they're separate from a lot of the other stuff going on. The last thing they want to do is be the focus of a lobby like this. 43 players left, so much potential for quick eliminations as the rotations begin. You see Aquafine, OW, and Impendant. These two players have been playing close together. You see they haven't really been separate from one another this entire time, which is really interesting. Now you see the Bad West player rotating in, and unfortunately he does go back to the lobby. Not necessarily because he is a Bad West player, but because of the rotation choice there and being so late into the storm. Now you got Skivdouche and Drew A, two players that are really interesting. Poor choice in names, but still great players nonetheless as they rotate in, looking for any kind of elimination there. Now you have Latron, you have a Sight Pigmento. These two duos we've been watching a little bit from a distance, not too much in play. I have seen some potential shots there going out. iCarly, you see Garvey, you see Sparkles is down already. So Gibby from iCarly is by himself. Will Gibby be able to clutch up here? He's looking for any kind of shots that he can take. He does have to back off there, not the position he wants to be in. Remember, only having a green pump shotgun is not what you want to deal with here in an engagement like this. You're seeing all these players going down. It is that moment. We've dropped from 40, mid-40s down to 30 players left play. This is something else, and Gibby is now out of material.
Hey, and Gibby's got the harpoon, though. I love if he's going to be able to make anything happen, but unfortunately he was found out there. Pigmento now on your screen, epic pump in hand. They're playing front of zone. They don't care about everyone in the back. They don't care about anything happening there. They just want to get in the zone. They want to make sure they have all their walls doing so and get in healthy. They do have to move a different layer because their wall was taken just a moment ago. And now going out, getting a little greedy there for that mobility. 50 builds remaining for Pigmento. Unfortunately, gonna have to keep layer changing, and it'll put him in a really good spot. I don't know if his teammate has kept up with him. No, he has. Sight will be there. The spray comes through, and this is what happens when you run out of mats and you're on a layer with a lot of different players. You will start to get sprayed. Raft will get taken down. Dragon will get taken down there by Nate. Mojo on the other side. Will he be able to step away? He will. Pigmento and Sight, though, fighting together as a duo. They have an epic bump. They can go back through their old tarp. Unfortunately, not going to be able to find it. That's going to be a very big issue there. Sid's going to take down a player. If they get top 3, we'll watch and see how they do. Okay, now we'll find their old tarp. We'll be able to recycle this, and this is very good for them as they are running low on mats, as it puts them in an awkward spot with everyone around. But they find a nice little tarp. They're good. They find their tarp in a really good spot. Emilio, unfortunately, going to fall down. Meta going to fall. Flame back going to fall. We saw them make some very questionable pushes earlier in Doom's domain. And it did lead them to some good eliminations, but overall ended up cutting into their late game resources. Pigmento is just going to get a little bit too greedy, try to go for that floor, and will get taken down to 36 effective HP. Just as an awkward spot.
Yeah, and it's questionable using the crash pad play. It may have been what they needed, but it can also spell doom for them if they are not careful with the placement of that crash pad. You see Pigmento, Sight now separate, not together, which is the last thing they want to do in a zone like this. It looks like no material. You have 2 builds left and 51 HP in total. Not what you want to see out of this duo that have been performing very well up to this point, but they are able to get an elimination out of there, but his teammate is knocked. He's going to look for any more shots that he can take. Unfortunately, not seeing any kind of engagement. He does take a shot, but it's not going to be enough. Pigmento does go down. You see Tutu. You see Rek together. Tutu does get the knock on Cube, but will it be enough? He needs to push forward. He needs to continue this engagement. He's going to shockwave forward. Can he get height? He's going to take a lot of unnecessary shots. 12 HP in a dream. Can he hold on with 4 players left? 3 teams in this duo tournament. He needs to get out of zone, and no, he does go down. You see Sid, Nut on the high ground, very comfortable in a really great spot. Nate by himself on the low ground, 7 eliminations as a duo, and it's not going to be enough. Sid and Nut end up taking game number 1, heat number 2.
You know, I said it was going to be a hot take, but it didn't look like it was that hot as they ended up picking up the victory royale.